So we represent compounds using chemical formulas. The formulas indicate what elements are present in the compound and the relative numbers of each. And so we do this using subscripts following the element symbols. So if we look at the formula for water, H2O, this tells me that there are 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. The number comes after the element it's describing. Sodium chloride is NaCl, carbon tetrachloride, CCl4. Now, sometimes this L looks like a capital I, right? In the PowerPoint slides, I chose a font where L's and I's and 1's are not exactly the same. When writing, they often will end up looking the same. And so I'm very careful. My 1's look like that, my lowercase L's, and these are capital I's. How do we not confuse this with CCI4? Well, we're going to combine, if there were 2 carbons, we would combine them together and say C2I4. And so the fact that I've got 2 C's here suggests that, oh, well, maybe this is actually going with the next letter, and that's actually a L, not an I. This is an instance where we don't write the number 1. So H2O, it's not H2O1, because if there was 0 oxygens, we wouldn't write the letter. And if there were more than 1, we'd write the number. It's a little bit like that old couple, been married 60, 70 years, and the wife says, "Why don't you ever tell me that you love me?" And he says, "Well, I told you when we got married, and if it changes, I'll let you know," right? So we write the O, and that says there's 1 of these, and if it's different, we'll let you know and write a different number. So there are different types of chemical formulas. See how we categorize everything, right? We can break types of chemical formulas into categories: empirical, molecular, and structural formulas. So an empirical formula, empirical means from experiment. It just gives the relative numbers of atoms that are present from each element. So an example would be hydrogen peroxide. So the empirical formula for hydrogen peroxide is HO. For every 1 hydrogen, there's 1 oxygen. This is not an accurate description of a molecule of hydrogen peroxide. A molecule of hydrogen peroxide actually contains 2 hydrogens and 2 oxygens. But the empirical formula gives us the lowest ratio. The actual molecular formula is 2:2. That ratio can be reduced, and we can write this as 1:1. We'll be doing an experiment where we actually experimentally determine the empirical formula of a compound. A molecular formula gives the formula for the molecule, gives us the actual number of atoms in a molecule. So the compound C4H8, this is a molecular formula. We should be able to write the empirical formula from this just by simplifying this ratio. 4:8 can be simplified as 1:2, just factoring out a 4. B2H6 is a molecular formula. We can factor out a 2 and come up with an empirical formula of BH3. For CCl4, we mentioned this earlier, the ratio is 1:4, and so here the empirical formula and the molecular formula are the same, because the molecular formula already has the lowest ratio. So if we look at a formula like this and the numbers are not in the lowest ratio, we can assume that that's a molecular formula. If the subscripts are in the lowest ratio, we can know that that's an empirical formula. It may or may not be the molecular formula. We need more information to determine that. Then we have structural formulas, which indicate the structure of the molecules. And here we typically use lines to represent covalent bonds between atoms. And this shows how those atoms are connected to each other, because sometimes there's more than one way that they could be connected. So we use a single line for a single bond, a double line for a double bond, and a triple line for a triple bond. Which type of formula we use depends on how much we know about the compound, how much information we want to provide to the reader, etc. The structural formula communicates the most information, but is the most tedious to write and a real pain in the butt to do on a computer. An empirical formula communicates the least amount of information. So this is something we should be able to do. Given a formula, we should write the empirical formula for it. So what's the empirical formula for C5H12? That's it, C5H12. What we're looking for here is the ratio of the subscripts, 5 to 12. 5 and 12 have no common factors other than 1. So that cannot be simplified. So this is already an empirical formula. How about Hg2Cl2? HgCl. In a molecule, we have a 2 to 2 ratio, but the empirical formula would be 1 to 1. How about C2H4O2? CH2O. So here we have 3 things. The ratio 2 to 4 to 2. We can divide each of those by 2 and come up with CH2O. Any questions? We can also make models of molecules. And these are actual objects that you can hold. And then, of course, we can draw pictures of these objects. And this is a more accurate way to specify a compound. Ball and stick molecular models are popular. We have some model kits that we'll pull out later. They use balls with little holes in them as to represent the atoms, and then there are little connector sticks that represent the bonds. We typically use the same colors to indicate different elements so that we don't always have to be specifying what the element is. You don't need to memorize these colors, but the book does use these. Hydrogen is white, carbon's black, nitrogen's blue, oxygen is red, etc. In a space-filling molecular model, the model gives us a more accurate representation of what the molecule might look like if it were scaled up to a visible size. So here we've got several different ways of depicting methane. This is the space-filling model. That's probably the most accurate description of the actual shape of a methane molecule. The molecular formula is CH4. The structural formula just tells us that all of those hydrogens are covalently bonded with single bonds to the carbon atom. The ball and stick model gives us some geometry of it using balls and sticks. The nice thing about the ball and stick model is it's more open, and so you can see what's on the other side without having to turn the thing around. A space-filling model, because those spaces are filled in, is a little harder to see what's going on the other side. And so all of these are useful ways of describing the molecule methane. So here we have 4 different compounds and different ways of representing them. I'd just like to point out the difference, especially here, between the ball and stick model and the space-filling model. If you just had a picture of the space-filling model, you'd have a hard time determining how many carbon and hydrogen and oxygen atoms there are, because it's a 3-dimensional thing. It's much more complicated than the methane, and we can't see what's on the other side. When we look at the ball and stick model, because it's open, we can see what's on the other side, and so that's why the ball and stick model is very popular with chemists. It's easier to see what's going on, but this is more like what it would actually look like. That, of course, is a pain in the butt to draw, and so we'll often use a structural formula like this to show how the different things are connected. So this is glucose, which is blood sugar. The formula is C6H12O6. there are a whole bunch of sugars with that same chemical formula. And they have very, very different properties. And it has all to do with how exactly these things are combined. Anybody have any questions? This is definitely not something you need to memorize, just helpful comparison.